There we go. And welcome on in, everybody. It is episode 69. Nice.
Hey-o.
Of the Garage Beers podcast here, brought to you on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. Go check out Belly Up Sports. But as you can see, if you're joining us live, we got a full room here. We got a full garage for this week's episode. We're really excited about it. We're going to get into some Browns talk. We haven't spent a ton of time on the past few episodes, but we're going to dive deep into the Browns in a totally not entertaining way, I'm sure, with these couple guys we've got on the podcast. But before we get to our special guests, let's send it around the horn with us regulars. And with you, as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Find me online at Garage Beers Mike. Over on the east side of Cleveland, joining us from his porch, the Porch Garage, it's Chad Meyer at Garage Beers. Chad, what's up, Chad?
Set of a Stephen King film. What you guys decide?
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I'm on a rabbit hole today, guys.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So,
Yeah,
Stephen,
yeah.
there was something about
Absolutely.
Stephen King film.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes. Big King fan as well.
Can't argue.
You know what? Chad liked the
If I
Stephen
wanted.
King film. We can take that from whatever he just said. But you know what? We'll get him back in. We'll figure it out. Down in Nashville, Tennessee, find him online at Garage Beers Joe. It's Joey Whalen. What's up, Joe?
I'm never in like the center of the live stream. Kind of nice. I feel like I got a lot of power here.
You don't.
It's very fitting to put the most talkative person in the middle, but let's do it.
The center square on Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah. Find out what you won after the show.
Circle gets the square. So Joe thinks he's wielding power. He is not. And we are very excited. We've got a very, very special couple of guests here who just made a major announcement yesterday, and they've got some big things going on. If you're a Browns fan and you're on Twitter, you know these guys. And they are teaming up officially now on the OBR, the Orange and Brown Report, to take on the Not the Same Old Browns podcast, a podcast that Andy Lytle, our first special guest, started a couple months ago. And now Stephen Thomas, our other special guest, has joined. So Andy, you can find him online at Andy Cleaves with the little fun underscore thing there at the end just to make things complicated.
Yeah, I know.
And you can find Stephen at Browns Mock Drafts. Andy and Stephen, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having us. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are very, very
I was
excited.
really looking forward to mostly looking forward tonight to meeting and having in-depth discussions with Chad. So I'm really excited about the possibilities with the internet and everything else. I'm fired up.
We like to run this podcast like a Mad Lib, so you kind of get into the word and fill the blank.
Hurry up! Somebody give me a verb. It's all right. Chad's having some tech issues.
It happens. I feel bad for him. I feel bad. It happens.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to tell him to stick with it. We're not quitters here on the Garage Beers podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it's not the oldest guy. You guys would be relentless if it was me. So I'm just glad it's not me.
Hey, listen, don't make assumptions about Chad's age. He could very well be the oldest guy.
I would be shocked. Yeah.
So, guys, we're going to get into what you guys have going on. The Not the Same Old Browns podcast, which I think it was episode 14.
Yep.
This most recent one, which was the first one featuring the new official host, Stephen Thomas, which is really exciting. We'll get into all that with you guys going on, and then obviously we're going to talk about the Browns. But before we get into that, we've got to get to one of our most important things we do every week, and that is our Garage Beers of the Week segment, where we basically just send it around the horn. We talk about what beers we're drinking this week, give it a little review, and we'll move on from there. We usually start it with our special guests, and so I'll go this way. Andy, I'm going to let you go first. With your Garage Beer of the Week this week.
Perfect. It's got a hint of cherry. It's got a crispness to it. It's very refreshing. They're very hard to get. Luckily, my gas station right at the corner of my house had it. I am drinking because I am on keto for like 2 months, and I'm trying to be. I almost broke it for you guys, but I'm like, I can't. They're not that important. And then
we appreciate you for that. Thank you.
I have a black cherry White Claw. It is a refreshing spiked sparkling water. Like I said, I'm surprised my gas station had it because you cannot find this really anywhere.
That's an elite gas station.
I've never heard of it.
Elite.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. This is the black cherry flavor. They come in several flavors. Has 5% alcohol, so it'll hit it. And it's a weird sizing though. It says instead of it'll say 22 ounce or 24 ounce. This says 1.1 pint and 3.2 full ounces. So it's 19.2 full ounces total. So European. And it is, I believe, and I'm gonna crack this thing open. And we're gonna see what happens. My goodness, it's like it is like white velvet on your tongue. It is unbelievable. So yeah, that's what I'm rocking, a black cherry White Claw, and I will be the bitch of the group. It's fine.
God, there's so many bitches in this group that I don't know if you're gonna take that title.
Damn.
Coming out swinging.
Listen, that is, like I said, an elite gas station find. I don't know that I've ever seen that anywhere. So congratulations to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was very proud.
Don't drink them all. Just save a couple for as collector's items because they're
Absolutely.
rare. Put it on eBay. It's very rare.
I love it. We're gonna bring. Hold on, we got one of our friends of the show, Dom, over here. He's sharing with us that he's drinking a Masthead Brewing Company Summerfest Fest beer. Dom ordered his Garage Beers hat today, so I'm going to send that out to him tomorrow. So thanks for that order, Dom. We wanted to shout you out.
Very cool.
Joe's repping the hat. Sweet.
I like it.
All right, Steven, I don't know how you're going to follow that up. How you're going to follow up a White Claw, but we're going to send it to you. What's your garage beer this week?
Well, I'm normally a bigger wine drinker, but for you guys, I went out and I bought. This is it's a North Coast Brewing Company. And it's called Brother Thelonious, and it's a Belgian-style Abbey Ale. I have not tried it yet, but it's named after, and as you can see, has a picture of Thelonious Monk on the label. So how could I go wrong? I mean,
I love it when you talk dirty, Big Daddy.
I know. That's why I do it. Let's see here. Beery.
Oh,
yeah. No, it's good. It's kind of not quite a stout, but it's definitely darker. It's definitely it's not an amber or anything like that. It's good.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's beer.
I mean, it's not cherry. It's not black cherry because I have testicles, but
correct.
It's pretty
Correct.
good. Yeah.
It's black cherry, okay?
Yeah.
There's a difference.
That's man cherry, right?
Very
there.
manly. It is.
Man cherry.
Damn right.
All right, so that's a good one. We love that. Joe, let's send it down to Nashville. Joe, what's your garage beer of the week?
I don't really know what the brewery is or what the beer is, but
Wow.
Things of That Nature by Scapegoat or Scapegoat by Things of That Nature. Either way, it's a nice little IPA. I went to Gainesville, Georgia last weekend for a wedding and came back with some beers. Half of those beers I didn't know were sours, so I came back and I have a bunch of sours in my fridge now that I don't know what to do with.
I love
this
that
beer's really
can.
good.
That can's awesome.
This is one of the ones that we like.
Ooh,
Yeah, there you go.
That can is sexy.
Oh, so
yeah, Joe, Sexy Can Joe. That's what we call him here on the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's
naturally.
New Twitter handle for you. So that'll bring it over to me until Chad gets back here. When Chad gets back here, we'll let him tell us what he's drinking. Hopefully he's drinking a lot at this point. So guys, we've had a running thing here for the past month. I've dedicated myself to drinking a beer that has somebody's first name in the title of the beer, which sounds like it's an easy thing, but I had to drive a little bit today to find a beer that had somebody's first name. And I'm a little nervous about this one.
They have everything.
Oh yeah. Andy, let me know the address of that gas station.
Absolutely.
I'm a little nervous about this one. The name of this beer is Hot Mary.
Ooh.
ooh.
Hot
yeah.
Mary. It's Arshay Brewing, which I think is down in Akron. Yep, Akron.
Sexy.
It is a double New England IPA with habanero.
Ooh.
So and it is spilling everywhere. It is literally
Mike is
spilling
taking it up a notch, baby. I like it.
And I don't have anything to clean it with. So we're just going to let it spill and then figure it out from there.
It'll dry.
Don't worry. It's just in an office here. It's fine.
Oh, man.
So it sounds like it's going to be spicy. Chad's back. So he's giving this another go. Sounds like it's going to be spicy. Oh, I need more of these. My wife's giving me paper towels because she heard me making a mess in here. I need a lot of them. It's pretty good, guys. I was worried that the habanero was going to be like crazy.
Is it spicy?
There's definitely the spiciness of like a habanero pepper, but like it's not. Oh God, there's the paper towel. But it's not. Guys, this is going about as well as it always does for us. You guys are clearly our good luck charm. It's good. It's more of the flavor and less of the heat, but it's really good. So, hey, Chad, if you can hear us and you want to chime in with your garage beer of the week, what are you drinking? Okay, all right, Chad.
I'm here, guys. I'm here.
No, you have to wait at least 30 seconds before like trying to fake talk to get us.
Okay. I mean, am I delayed? Am I good?
You're good now.
You're good.
Go, Chad. Garage beer.
All right. Well, I guess I better go fast. Well, I'm going to go to Great Lakes Beer Company right now here, guys, and I'm doing a lemon Hefeweizen. It's pretty good.
Okay, lemon Hefeweizen. Chad got a whole sentence in, so we are coming around to our normal selves here. So Chad's got a Hefeweizen. The rest of us have some pretty good beers, and Andy just with the very rare find of the Black Cherry White Claw. Thank you for bringing that on with us.
I feel like such a man every time I take a sip.
I can only imagine how much you had to pay for that.
Oh, the toxic masculinity that I get.
Let's make some bad decisions here,
toxic masculinity. That's
Pinky
what
up.
this is.
Pinky up, Andy. Pinky up.
All right, those are our garage beers of the week. Now that we can get back into normal life here, those are our garage beers of the week. Let us know what you're drinking. If you're following us here on the live stream, let us know what you're drinking. If you're listening to us, let us know what your garage beer is this week. And if you have any suggestions, we'll go find them. So let us know on our pages what you're drinking and what we should try, and we'll go get them and give you a shout out as well. So again, if you're just jumping in, super exciting episode we've got going on this week. Again, episode 69. It's going to be a very heavy Browns featured episode with our awesome special guests, the two hosts of the Not the Same Old Browns podcast, Andy Lytle, Stephen Thomas, and that's on the OBR now, which is also really cool. We've had Jake from the OBR join us on the show a little bit. He's a good time. So you guys do awesome work over there. So, guys, let's start with you. Before we get into the Browns and all the fun stuff we have to talk about there, let's just let's get to know you guys a little bit better. Andy, again, both of you guys have been around the Brown scene for a long time, especially on Twitter.
Sure.
What prompted you? Because you started the Not the Same Old Browns podcast back in March. What kind of prompted you to do that? What was the idea behind it, and what kind of gave you the kick in the pants to get started?
Well, it's funny because I've kind of wanted to do a Browns podcast since probably 2014, 2015. And ironically, I asked Steven about that way back then. Yep. And he just told me, yeah, just piss off, man. I'm too busy for your shenanigans.
Standard.
And
I wasn't that nice.
Yeah, that was the nice version. And truth be told, I probably didn't have time either. I had another career then. I was doing mortgage. I was a loan officer in Los Angeles and real estate stuff, really stuff that I just didn't really enjoy doing. So in 2018, I started dabbling in content creation. It all started with streaming on Twitch. To date now, I have over 3,500 hours streamed on Twitch since 2018. I started a horror movie podcast in 2019. We just dropped episode 126 on that this week. Awesome. And my two biggest passions growing up as a kid and even now as an adult, nothing's changed. We're Cleveland sports and movies. So I already had the horror movie podcast. So I'm like, I love the Browns. I got to do this. And a couple friends kind of psyched me up to do it. I raced to launch. I literally made the decision that I was going to do it 3 weeks before the first episode. So I had to have like music intro made. I had to cut this, edit that, get all the this logo made. Like I was racing, and I wanted to get it launched by March 15th, which is right when free agency was about to take off.
Yes.
So I did. I got episode 1 dropped, and ironically, Steven was my first guest. And I even asked Steven then if he wanted to co-host with me. So this is twice now that he said no, piss off, you idiot. And
I wasn't that nice.
again, the nice version.
Mm-hmm.
So, I pretty much what Steven and I talked about then was he's waist deep, neck deep in draft stuff, especially during that time of the year. So, he's like, after the draft, let's revisit this, and we'll see. And I ended up talking to Lane Atkins about possibly taking the podcast over to the OBR. Lane's a really good dude. He's an insider for the OBR. I had Lane on my show in episode 7. It was an awesome time. And I pretty much, I knew Steven. I had a feeling that Steven would join me if I could get the show over to the OBR. And that's pretty much what we did. And, I'm just happy to have Steven because he and I have similar sense of humors, and not to mention he hates this, but he's very knowledgeable. He knows his stuff about the draft. Like I called him a guru the other night. He wanted to kill me, but it's true. He is, and he hates that term, but it's true. He's really good at what he does, but he doesn't take himself too seriously. But it's like he told me, I don't take myself seriously, but you take the preparation seriously. So naturally, it was a good fit to bring Steven on, and I'm just beyond grateful and excited that we were able to take the show over to the OBR. And not only just that I could bring on a pal that I've known for about 8 years from Twitter, who I know will be a good fit with me to come on and co-host. So yeah, that's pretty much my backstory the last 3 years. I just really, really have gotten waist deep in content creation, and I love it. And it's definitely something that I'm going to continue to pursue and do.
Okay. So Steven, like, how does it make you feel to continuously know that this was basically all just one ploy to get you on this podcast?
I mean, like, it's the first time I've ever been lusted after. Come on, look at me. I mean, I deal with this my whole life, man. Sometimes pretty is a curse, okay? Everybody thinks my life is so easy because I'm gorgeous and sexy. No, it's a pisser. It really is.
Like you said, though, you got those New Balances going. You've kind of figured out that middle-aged dad thing you got going on. Man,
if there's a 25-year-old woman on Twitter that isn't ravenously turned on by a middle-aged, paunchy, gray-haired, married dad in cargo shorts and New Balance, I haven't met her yet, and I don't want to. I mean, who wants to be with somebody like that? No, so pretty much everything Andy said is true. We met via Brown's Twitter, actually, during the 2013, 2014 era, the Josh Gordon, that type of era.
Yeah, and, the Manziel times.
Over then, ever since then, we've been, friends online. He came to see my show once when I was performing at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club at the MGM in Vegas. And I think that's the only time we've met in person. Isn't it?
Actually. Yeah. Yep, that's it. Yep.
But we just been talking, back and forth. And because I was on the road so much with comedy, I never wanted to be the guy that I didn't want to tell Andy, yeah, I'll host a show with you and then be gone 4 out of every 5 episodes. I don't want to be that guy, And so then the pandemic hit. Barry contacted me. I moved my draft stuff over to the OBR, which was a blessing and just a blast. And I had so much fun. And now that I'm a little bit more entrenched in this world and I won't have to go out as much whenever comedy comes back, I said, okay, I think I've got the time that I'll be happy with my commitment. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's the thing. I don't want to ever let anybody else down. And so I'd never promise things that I can't deliver on. And this, I'm pretty sure I can deliver on my promise. Because really, I mean, Andy, the way he pitched me was he's going to be the host, the main producer, the brains. I just have to be the eye candy. So, I can handle that. Yeah.
So you throw on your best Browns Hawaiian shirt and watch the viewers come in. I
roll out of bed looking like this, man.
I'm wearing like a 12-year-old. Go ahead, bud,
if it's any consolation, Steven, I'm turned on.
I mean, I already knew that, but thank you.
Yeah.
I pulled a classic out of the closet for this episode.
Hey, Cribs, I love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, especially this week on Twitter, the video was going around for a couple of days of his all of his return touchdowns.
Right. Yeah.
Can we?
Awesome.
That guy. I don't know. Does anybody talk about him enough?
No, I don't think so.
I feel like when he was like in his heyday with the Browns, in my head, I was always like, how come they can't get this guy the ball more?
Yeah, it's always bothered me.
He's so good.
It always bothers me, and not anything against Devin Hester. He's one of the best return men of all time, if not the best. But I feel like he got so much love, and Cribbs just got none from National.
Well, part of that too was because he was there for the Bears Super Bowl run, wasn't he? I mean, they were competitive and winning, and we were
the spotlight,
steaming pile of garbage. So
we were staying in games because of our kick and punt return.
Exactly.
And our kicker. And our kicker.
On that video? How many of those games were like 10-7? We were losing, and then he just takes a touchdown. You're like, all right, we're winning.
Right. Yeah. The biggest difference, with Hester. But like you said, Super Bowl run. But like every Cribbs return touchdown, as exciting as I was, as out of my seat as I was, I still went, "Fuck! Did we score too quick?"
That's the thing. You watch Cribbs and you watch Josh Gordon's big year, and you're watching the play, and you're like, God, that was such a great play. And then your eyes drift down to the score at the bottom of the screen. You're like, oh shit, that's right, we got the hell kicked out of us that day. That's right, I remember this. Yeah,
or we took the lead with 48 seconds left, just knowing what was about to happen.
Exactly.
I think the other thing with Hester, though, a little bit, not to talk about Devin Hester forever, but like the Bears found like just even the most minuscule ways to have him involved in the offense, right? Like they'd give him like swing passes or end arounds and he'd make plays. The Browns just could never. They tried to do the wildcat.
Yeah.
And it never worked. And I think that was the other part of it. So yeah, but man, that video was awesome. So I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
I forgot to wear anything Browns, but that's okay. All right, so let's get to know you guys. We've heard your story, how the podcast came together, and again, congratulations to both of you on it, and Andy for you the idea, and then getting picked up by the OBR, man. As a Cleveland guy, and Steven, you on the OBR as well as Cleveland guys and as Browns fans, the OBR is. It's one of the few places to be, really. I mean, if you're going to join an organization, it's an elite Browns coverage organization.
Absolutely.
And I love what you guys bring to it, right? Because we've talked about some of the other guys over there. So, Jake Burns and his film breakdowns, it's the craziest stuff. It's amazing. And Fred and his writing and his beat reporting. But I love that you guys are going to bring some of the comedy and still the smart Browns intelligent conversation to the show. That's really cool. So congratulations to you guys.
Thanks, man. I always thought that they were like a top notch publication too, and they got people like Steven and Jake Burns and Lane Atkins, but then they bring me on, and then they're idiots. I mean, I don't know what the hell they were thinking, to be quite honest. They
brought me on a year ago, and I drove down the property values in the neighborhood, which allowed you.
So
to
Andy
move
could,
in.
yeah.
He must have gotten new management or something.
That's what Steve and I talked about in our first episode together here that just dropped, and it's like I think it was at the end of the episode. I'm like, can you believe this? Can you imagine in 2013, 2014 if you and I, if I told you and I both would be with the OBR, like what? Yeah, it's wild. I feel very lucky. I do. I feel lucky, and I appreciate Barry and Lane and everyone in there to believe in the show and believe in me. And I'm just looking forward to get to work, man, because we're going to be doing a lot of other stuff besides bringing the podcast. That was part of the deal. We can't really talk about it yet because it's not for sure yet. But basically, I'm going to be taking on, and Steven as well. We're going to be doing a lot of live stream hosting and producing and stuff like that. So that's definitely somewhere where I'm going to come. That's where I'd be looking for me down the road with the OBR, is taking on that kind of a role.
That's awesome. Yeah. We also want to have Lane on at some point, but only when that can be the exclusive George Kokinis episode. Yeah. And he is not ready for that yet. So.
No.
He's not ready.
I tried to get the story of Bill Belichick I tried to get the story of Belichick and Bernie fighting in the tunnel, and he wouldn't even tell me that. So
he is lockjawed with that stuff.
He is.
Wait. Can Lane discuss internal business? Can Lane discuss internal business?
Oh, maybe. You never know.
Give him the right bourbon, and I think
we will have a bourbon episode.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Bourbons and George Kokinis with Lane Atkins. I like that. I like that. All right, boys. So let's get into a little bit. Let's get into a little bit of the Browns. Let's let and it's so funny. It's funny that you bring up PS side note. And Steven, you said you're good at this. I'm exquisite at this as well. Just going totally off topic. You keep bringing up 2013. We were talking about this before we came on. That 2013 is where Steven and I wrote for a very weird website together covering Cleveland sports. So I looked it up on Twitter. It was called Man Bites Dog. And the only article that I saw that I had written that like came up at any point, like Steven, you were an excellent like cheerleader because you kept doing like follow these guys. And that was great. I wrote an article about why the Cavs were lucky to have Luke Walton on the team. Fucking what?
It's amazing that website didn't take off.
Yeah. I tell you, this is a perfect spot for us to come and be guests because they're morons just like us, Steven.
Oh, I know.
Great.
I know. We need to pitch this to Barry.
Sir, you give us too much credit. Morons is a kind term for what we got going on here.
Oh my God, Luke Walton was on that team. When I watched Luke Walton play, I felt like you could like find him at any YMCA and just play him. Like he just had the oversized like jersey with like the super saggy shorts, and he had like the old man orthotic like basketball shoes.
Chad,
like what?
I took time out of my life to write a fucking article about him.
I know you did.
You know how much money I made off of that?
He's somebody's little brother. You know, you're gonna take Luke. I don't want to take Luke. Let your brother play. My
goodness!
Right,
that's awesome. All right, boys. So let's get to know you on your Brown stuff a little bit more. Let's get to know you guys a little bit more as far as your Browns fandom, where it comes from, all of that. And let's start with just some early questions. So we've all been Browns fans forever. Everybody on the show has been Browns fans forever. So what's your two-part question? And this can go to everybody because I don't think we've ever done this on the podcast. What's your earliest Browns memory, and what's your favorite Browns memory?
Pain.
Is that earliest and favorite?
Yeah,
certainly most persistent
and most recent. Yeah.
That was my really bad Clubber Lang Rocky 3. Pain. Geez. My first memory, honestly, is the drive. That's what hooked me that season. That was the first year that I really watched, that I vaguely remember it, and I do remember that game. So the pain. Favorite memory. I'm not going to say the move. I was at the last game, and I know Steven was as well. Favorite memory. I'll go a game I attended, the Eric Metcalf 2 punt returns against the Steelers. I was at that game. I've never heard a Browns stadium quite that loud on that second punt return. It was bedlam. Absolute. Like you could feel Old Municipal shaking. Like you could feel it. I'd say that's probably my in person at the game, and probably overall favorite memory. Honestly, this wild card game that we just had where we beat the shit out of the Steelers. That would probably that's got to be up there for sure. But yeah, probably those are probably good choices.
How about you, Steven?
I'm a bit older than Andy, so my stuff goes back a little further. My dad loves to tell the story. He's told me this forever. Apparently, he held me on his lap to watch the very first Monday Night Football game ever, Browns-Jets in 1970. I was about 6 months old at the time. He loves to say we sat and watched that game together. I'm pretty sure at 6 months old, I pooped and cried and went to sleep. I'm not sure how much I watched, but so he loves to tell that story, but I don't really remember it, So my first actual memory, honestly, it's probably the Packer game of the Cardiac Kids year. When Dave Logan somehow got behind everybody with 20 whatever seconds left for a 50-yard touchdown to win. And then the next week they beat the Steelers with a big fourth quarter comeback too. And that was like, it was huge because they hadn't beaten the Steelers in forever. I think like 5 years or something since they'd beaten them. So it was a massive, massive thing. And I remember going into school the next day and just, flaunting it finally in this fucking Steeler kid's face. Then, of course, they went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So it kind of backfired on me. But,
Hey,
Yeah, I remember that. And that was like the Packer game, I think, as far as I recall, was when everybody started to go, hey, maybe this team is different. That was like the first one that it started to feel a little special. So that's probably my earliest. Now, as far as going in person, I went to a few games earlier, but my first year of season tickets was when Belichick was here in 91. So that's probably where my in-person stuff. And I said my favorite memory was I picked the same game. I mean, I could have said Run, William, Run. Or some other stuff, but as far as being there in person, it was that Metcalf game because our seats we sat 6 rows behind Big Dog John Thompson in that lower, as you look at it, lower right corner of the old dog pound, and that's where he scored on that second one. And that night, you said it was like. I remember the next morning, I went home. The next morning, my girlfriend at the time was like, "How was it?" And I said, "Well, now I know what it's like to be in a prison riot." Because the old dog pound was a different animal, man. It was
deafening.
It was. I mean, Schillinger lived in the old dog pound. Okay, that's what it was like. And they don't do this anymore, I don't think. But you remember it was literally bleachers. I don't think they make bleachers anymore. It was just long pieces of wood, and we would jump, and you could feel it bowing like a trampoline. It was just wildly unsafe, because it was a 20, 30-foot drop underneath to concrete. There was just nothing there except, here's a good story. The guys next to me one time, this is actually a famous story, and I was there for it, because there was nothing underneath. It was just empty space underneath there.
Yep.
We didn't like getting up from our seats and missing the game to go to the bathroom. So these guys you remember those long tubes that you would swing around and they would go, woo?
Oh, yeah.
They brought one of those and they would do that. But then when they had to go to the bathroom, they would put one end out the bottom and they would stick their winky in the other end and just pee. And they caught him on security camera. And so we're standing there in the middle of the game, and all of a sudden, and it wasn't stadium security, CPD fucking showed up, right?
Oh, no.
Damn it.
And we're standing there going, holy shit, what do we do? And they dragged all these guys off, and we were like, all right, well, that's their problem. Whatever, And
can you leave that thing? I might have to pee.
So I never did that. I must say, I was like, okay, I'm gross, but that's too gross for me. I never did that. So that's probably my favorite. For that, you said one that you weren't there in person for, Andy. If I could say one that I wasn't there in person for, it was probably from the last 4 minutes of the Jets game, the Marathon by the Lake, through the touchdown to Brian Brennan the following week. The touchdown to Brian Brennan to go up 20-13. Was the happiest I've ever been in my entire life as a Browns fan. That was the highest moment that it was it. I was convinced this was it, man. We were going. It was over. Yeah. And then, of course, we all know what happened. So, but those are probably my 2 favorite moments that I haven't been in person to see.
I like that you and I went to a lot of, because you and I both went to the last game before they moved, and we were both at the Metcalf game. That's crazy. Small world, ain't it?
You still have your seat? I still have my seat. We took a little handsaw and took out our bleacher seats.
Yep,
we did
I just got
the first
ass part. Yes.
We did it in the first quarter. We sawed our seats, and then we were like standing there and we went, oh, shit, we should have waited to the fourth quarter. What the hell are we going to do now? We had to stand there the whole game.
I will say the last game before they moved on December 17th, 1995, it was my dad's 39th birthday. And which is how old I am now. And that fourth quarter, Steven, you remember all you could hear, dude, was rack, 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 rack. Because everyone had brought their hardware. I mean, you could hear it echoing through the entire stadium. People with sledgehammers, saws, whatever they brought in to rip. I saw dudes literally after the game with a section of 6 seats. A row, and there's like 4 dudes loaded into a freaking bed of a Chevy truck, man.
You think
it's
about
the wildest shit I've ever seen
of today's world,
right?
Not only getting that stuff into the stadium would be impossible, but you think about how crazy everybody. It's amazing there was no, and you hate to say this, but it's amazing there were no shots taken or violence in the stands or stuff. It really is kind of amazing that none of that happened. It's emotionally charged.
Well, but it was all done in this, first of all, drunk, obviously. Yeah. It was all done in this drunken, but also this sad, camaraderie that everybody had, right? Not only could you hear in the stadium the sounds of things being removed from the stadium, But it was also amidst just grown men kind of crying with each other, like,
Right.
oh, God, let's just take these chairs. And like, there was no violence. Like, what were you going to be violent about?
It was more sadness than anger. It was like that game was like a fucking funeral. Let's just call it for what it was. That's what that game felt like. It felt like a funeral.
Yep.
Hell of a time to be alive.
Oh, man. I can't
Pain.
tell. Chad's just. Oh, wait. I just saw Chad smile. So I think Chad's good. I'm glad. I think Chad's good.
Hey, Chad.
Send it to Chad.
Yes.
What about you? What about you for like earliest Browns memory and favorite? He's frozen again.
In-depth conversation with me. A solid 45 seconds. We have a solid 45 seconds.
You're perfect.
Well, to be completely different from anything anybody just said now, my first earliest Browns memory was the 89 Metcalf game, 2-punt return, Steelers victory.
Right.
Awesome. I was
Very
7 years
different.
old.
I haven't heard about that.
I was 7 years old, and I remember walking up from the Muni lot now, and my uncles were throwing firecrackers at the feet of Steeler fans. Like, that's when I went, this is really cool. I should be a Browns fan. And then I guess my favorite, God, there's like so many too close to call type of those games, but I guess my favorite one that I've been at was I was at the Run William Run game, and I was in that end zone that he ran towards, and I saw him break free, and I went, oh my! Like it went nuts. And I was in college, and we all grabbed everybody's plastic cup at the end of the game because in college that's China. And I went home with a smorgasbord of souvenir cups and a Browns the Browns headed to the
Score
and various transmissible diseases. It's fine. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be good. I'm excited for this one because our resident young guy on the show is Joe.
Oh yeah.
His
So
earliest memory was Week 7 against the Cowboys this year.
There's this guy named OBJ.
He scored 3 touchdowns. It was fucking amazing, man.
No, mine's not that recent, but it's not old. Like, it's in the 2000s because I was a late bloomer with like just being a football fan in general. I was always a baseball guy growing up. But it was probably the first game. Well, definitely the first game I ever went to was Seahawks Browns in I forget the year, but Derek Anderson's year, the year that we didn't suck.
07.
Yeah. So it was a good first memory. And we won that game. And Jamal Lewis had like 4 touchdowns, and Kellen Winslow went off, and it was cold. I just remember being absolutely freezing and saying, this is insane. Why would anybody want to sit outside? But then I discovered alcohol, and now I get it. So very full circle.
The funny thing for me is like none of my like good memories of the Browns are like meaningful wins, right? Like I went to several meaningless
That's a pretty
games.
Limited pool to choose from.
I went to like several meaningless games in the 90s, sure. My first memory, it was a game against the Jets. It was not the playoff game. It was a game against the Jets, and I got drenched in beer, and I think I was like 3 years old. And my parents took me to the game, and I got drenched in beer, and I was like,
yes,
I guess I'm a Browns. Is this a baptism? This is a baptism. I'm a Browns fan. But like every game I see, it's like I don't know. In like 2003, they played Arizona and won like 51-0. Right? It didn't matter. It just was like, hey, cool, we scored a ton of points. So my favorite in-person Browns memory is a loss, and it's weird as hell to say, but it's a loss. It was a Mangini year. It was the Mangini Jets game when it was Santonio Holmes beat us in overtime.
Oh,
but it was probably the most fun game I have ever been to for the Browns. It was such a back and forth game. The stadium was absolutely rocking, and we lost. But like, I feel like my Browns, it like, I don't know. I went to the 49ers game in 2007 when we beat them in the last week of the season, week 17, and then Jim Sorgi started for the Colts, and we didn't make the playoffs. Like, and I remember around the field were like signs pleading, like, please, Jim Sorgi, like, please get a win, and he didn't. But Joe, I've got the other one. It was a Jacksonville game, maybe 2009, and it was late in the season. And it was one of the coldest games ever played at the stadium. And I went to the concession stand and I bought a beer. and my seat was in the first row coming out of the tunnel, like right there. It was right on that corner. And by the time, oh God, don't drink this too fast. That is 5%. By the time I got back to my seat right outside the tunnel, my beer was frozen. And I was like,
That's funny.
This is good. This is gonna be good.
Yeah. It's like a popsicle.
It's one of these days I'm gonna go to a meaningful win. It's gonna be like, man, that really set the tone for us. I just have never been to one of those.
I've been to one in Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
The comeback game against the Titans where they came back like 28 points.
That was Hoyer,
great.
right?
I was in
Yeah.
that was a blast. Yeah.
That's how the name of this the Not the Same
Yes.
Old Browns podcast was
Right.
born. Honestly, that was the day because I was out on Cahuenga Boulevard in Hollywood outside the Browns backers bar, and these YouTuber vloggers that did a show where they went around to NFL backers bars, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen that infamous video of me. That's
Yes.
how it starts. Yes, it's not the same old Browns. Anyone who says same old Browns, fuck you. It's not the same old Browns. This is
I
different.
love it.
And you were right,
Yes.
just 8 years early.
Correct.
Yeah,
It was a little early, but
Yeah.
I love it.
That was a good day, though.
I'm looking forward to being in the new stadium for this team and meaningful wins and everything because everyone said, and I'm guilty of saying it too, the new place is not like the old place and, all that kind of stuff. And first of all, it can never be because the stadiums from back then, they were just built different. It was, it wasn't built for revenue. It was just, that old place, as much as we all love it and revere it, it was a shithole, man. It was a dank state with painted green dirt. It was
Come on,
awful.
I missed the troughs.
It was
Okay,
urine
and the
everywhere.
troughs, it was
Just
awful.
urine.
But we loved it,
I was-
and it was a true home field advantage because those steel roofs, the sound would bounce off and come back in, and it was tremendous. And yes, the new place hasn't been, and part of that is because of the way the stadium is built, but part of it is because there really hasn't been anything to cheer for. You give Browns fans something serious to cheer for on a regular basis. I'm fascinated to see how loud it can be in the new stadium, because we haven't had that.
Well, I'm guilty, Steven. I'm guilty, and I don't know how you guys are, but I'm guilty of. First of all, I don't think they built the greatest stadium on the planet. We all know that when they came back, when they
it's
made
a
the
basic
decision to come
bitch
back,
stadium. There's no doubt.
and they rushed it, and they rushed like 900 things coming back, which is why a lot of things happened the way they did. The stadium is one of those things they rushed, but I don't know if you've been to a game the last couple of years. They really have done a lot of good work making that stadium a little bit more fun, a little bit less of a cement. It felt like a prison for a prison with orange chairs, and it's not anymore. And so, I'm with you. Like to get that place rowdy and like a full good season. Get out of here. I think it's going to be a blast.
I actually haven't been to a game since, what was it? 06. I think it was the 06 season the last time I went to a game. And I'm going to the home opener against the Texans, so I'm looking forward to it. So I'll be on the lookout for all these little changes. What have they changed that makes it not feel like a prison anymore, Mike? What have they really changed?
Well, okay, so they've done a lot of work within the bowls, as far as the lighting, the signage. Obviously, the scoreboards are newer. It's funny how much of a difference that does make. That makes a difference.
Sure.
And then just within the bowl, the bowl still, when you're down underneath, it's still, you can't change the fact that it's just cement and like walls and stuff. I just think they've done a better job of incorporating different stops, different areas. It just feels different. It's just a different feel. It's a little more comfortable.
I like
They've taken out some seats to make it and kind of put adjusted seating to where fans are a little bit more on top of the action.
Sure.
More to make it louder for more noise.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, last games I went to, I was there in I was there for the overtime win against the Ravens. Last, I think it was Hugh, because he didn't realize the game was over after we kicked the field goal in overtime.
That was you.
And then I was there, I think it was that same year. I think it was later that same season. Or it might have been it was the Freddie year, I think, where we beat Buffalo. I was there for that game, which was a good game, except for That was the game we got stopped like 7 plays in a row from the 1 yard line.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And we were dying because we're on the dog pound. We're like, why are they throwing, Chubb, and they gave it to him like 4 times in a row. He didn't get in, and we were like, well, then why'd you listen to us? We're drunk morons. What the hell?
This Freddie Kitchens doesn't know shit.
Really, you're taking advice from us? No wonder we're fucking losing. Good job.
It's funny this year, guys. Like before we get into like this year's Browns, this offseason has been really weird, hasn't it? Like compared to what we're used to, especially of this iteration of the Browns, this offseason has been weird as hell. Because what are we used to in our off seasons? Just weird shit happening, right? Drama. And outside of an unfortunate event happening with one of the coaches, it's been a pretty drama-free offseason. There's not a lot of like players complaining. There's not a lot of players getting in trouble. There's not a lot of comings and goings with players. It's very drama-free. And I'm like, that doesn't make for a good podcast segment. Like, hey, this season, this has been good. Let's move on. So I thought, let's get nostalgic for a minute. And let's talk about some real fun stuff. Let's get nostalgic since 99 and think about how can we realize how good we have it right now? Well, let's look at some of the shit that's happened since 99 in the offseason to show us just how far we've come. So I made some notes. I don't know if you guys made some notes. I've got a couple things. First of all, let's talk about the saga that was Hard Knocks. And what a ripple effect that had on everything. Because Hard Knocks made Freddie Kitchens the most popular guy on the planet because he was fighting. That was the segment with Hugh Jackson where Hugh then freaked out and said, "This is my bus," or whatever the hell he said. Yeah.
You're not in this chair. I drive the bus.
Yes.
Yes. That's
whatever,
right,
Hugh.
Tell him, Hugh.
I don't know why there isn't a statue built somewhere to Devin Cajuste and his magical stones.
Oh man,
right. Magical stones.
Yeah.
I love how Hugh conveniently forgot that Todd Haley was in the same chair at one point.
Right. The look on Haley's face during that scene just epitomized that entire last season of what was going on behind the scenes there. I mean, that was it. Jesus Christ, they're not writing a check big enough for this.
And here's what it set off. It set off one of the greatest social media things that's happened with the Browns. The Browns went, well, shit, we are never doing this again because of what a disaster it was. And then it spawned this building the Browns thing where they're like, we're going to take this in-house.
Right.
We're not going to make a big deal out of it. And that's been phenomenal. Building the Browns is if
fantastic.
You're a Browns fan, must-watch TV. But God, we all when I saw the Browns were going to be on Hard Knocks, I got excited. I was like, cool, let's watch this.
Sure. Me too.
And it just Hard Knocks impacted 3 straight seasons of Browns football.
It did.
Yeah.
It truly did.
Yeah,
that was a shit show. That was that wow. Pain.
Well, I think it illustrated for those of us who didn't have access to the inside just how dysfunctional everything was from the top down. That's what it showed us. You go, why does these guys do this on Sundays? They're so disorganized. Well, this is fucking why, because there's infighting and power struggles. I'm driving the bus. Who's in control was more important than putting W's on the field to some people, and the analytics against the coaching, and then in this fight, and then in that fight, and you can't win. You cannot win. You cannot consistently put out a good product if that's what's going on behind the scenes. I think more than anything else, it illustrated to the fans, and then I think eventually through our reaction as a fan base, it illustrated to the Haslams that a sea change needed to be made. I mean, I'm not saying a hashtag campaign changed their mind. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we now knew what was going on, and the reporting and stuff from the outside got more accurate as to the infighting and the backstabbing and why did this happen? Well, we know that this coach didn't like that coach, so this could be what. So I think it showed that at least in part, it showed the Haslams that, hey, we need to start over completely, and we need to commit to one vision. And to their credit, as much shit as I gave them over the years, and I gave them a lot of shit, and they deserved it, they did it, and thus far, they have stuck to it. And I think if we get one more season of winning, I don't think they're going to mess with it at all until the winning stops. I think I give them all the credit in the world for doing a huge about face as owners.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, and so to go backwards, let's talk about what led up to Hugh Jackson, because I think sometimes there's a little revisionist history.
Yeah.
I won't speak for you. I won't speak for you guys. So maybe you guys were one of the few. But when Hugh Jackson got hired in Cleveland, it was 100%. It was A+. It was A+.
Absolutely.
It was a home run hire.
Let's talk about the stuff that led up to Hugh Jackson. Let's talk about remember the Chip Kelly going out to dinner for like 9 hours at a time?
1 yard line. It was on the 1 yard line. Chip Kelly.
Yes, it was on the 1 yard line. And all of us Browns fans were like, yeah, we're getting Chip Kelly. This is happening.
Yeah.
They're just going out to dinner one more time, and it's going to go from 5 p.m. until 4:30 in the morning, apparently, until we hear anything. And that whole situation leads to the biggest, weirdest domino effect of coaches that eventually leads us to Hugh Jackson. Like, that whole saga was crazy.
Yeah.
Of all those coaches, of Rob Chudzinski, that has, like, it was even in the press conference. If you go back and watch the press conference, Jimmy Haslam's like, yeah, we're going to hire Rob Chudzinski as the new head coach of the Browns. And then Mike Pettin, who is the one coach that I think we can all look back on and be like, that guy didn't get a fair shake.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, I think Chud didn't get one either. I was actually kind of shocked when they fired Chud. I was shocked. But I mean, this goes back to what I was talking about. Part of the reason I wasn't alone, but I gave them so much shit as owners was because from the time they bought the team in 2012, 11, whenever that was, until this latest iteration, it was like 8 seasons, but it was 10 head coaches, 9 OCs, 11 DCs, 7 GMs. Like, I don't know, those aren't the exact numbers, but it was ridiculous. You cannot win like that, So yeah, I mean, that stuff that led up to it was just, and then of course, the quarterback searches nonstop. It was January to March every year it was like a carnival because it was coaching search, OCDC search, GM search, then the quarterback, and then we're going to get excited about the draft, and we all were stupid enough to fall for it every single year. I mean, it was a clown car from January to March every single year for so many years, and that rather than the specific things, and there were a lot of specific things that were funny and some that weren't funny, but that's what I remember about the off seasons, and why this year, like you said, has been such a refreshing change. There's the only news coming out has been good news. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? This isn't Cleveland,
Yeah. I mean, you could even go to the off season after they drafted Johnny. I mean, immediately after it's okay. If people who wanted him, I understand why people want him. I didn't want him. I wanted him. And I don't blame you. He was an exciting college player.
I went to Texas A&M.
There you go. Even more so. There it is. The Cleveland process.
Too small for me. I'm too old.
The Cleveland process.
Cleveland process. I'm too old.
You're muted.
Joe, are you muted? Joe, you're muted. Nice. This is our first time podcasting.
I was making a lot of noise, so I wanted to mute before I did this. Have you seen this shirt before?
I don't think so.
All right, this is the Cleveland process. I think it's CLE clothing. I can't remember where I got this from. Anyways, it's the cycle of every Cleveland Browns season because it was like you're saying, it's like every single year it's happening, right? So you got hire coach, the draft, training camp, home opener, first win, pretty good. First loss, QB1 goes down, QB2 goes down, hire coach, and then draft dreams, and then it just keeps going.
That's pretty accurate.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn accurate.
Actually, this is in the bottom drawer of a closet now because
I
don't need it. I don't need it.
Yes,
it's over.
I don't need it. No, just you save it.
Awesome.
I mean, save it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that shirt's amazing. I got to get one of those. I love that because I think that Johnny Manziel offseason, the offseason after we drafted him, I think that was the one filled with most drama because you had half the fan base that was like, oh, no, he's fine. He's great. He's going to be fine. He's just a kid. Leave him alone.
Just a partier.
You're just a partier. Then you had the other. I know. And you had the other half like, no, he's a fucking idiot. What is he doing? Like it was, the Swan. It was one thing after another. And the dude
Billy
just got
Manziel.
drafted.
Yeah.
See, and that was the capper. I mean, just in his offseason after they drafted him, we had the fucking Swan, the goddamn money phone bullshit. I mean, like, dude, it was one thing after another. Mary Kay's got to write about this stuff. People are like, you're just trying to start drama. Motherfucker, she ain't wanted like a dummy on a money phone. And then to cap it all off, like you just said, this dude literally bails on the team, leaves, goes to Vegas a day or two before the game with a disguise, a fake mustache, and a wig going by Billy. You can't make this shit up. I'm never right about anything. Ever. But I was even more right than I ever thought about anything than Johnny fucking Manziel. My goodness,
dude! Yes. I was that guy. I was that guy at the bar. Again, I'm a Texas A&M Aggie. I watched him in college. I thought, all right,
he beat the game. He beat at Bama, man. He beat Bama. Beat him.
Yeah. His second year was great too. Great. He was great. I was that idiot at the bar. They drafted him. I was jumping and yelling. I was so excited.
I was Aaron Goldhammer, motherfucker.
No. No. Not in the same sentence, sir.
Sorry, Aaron Goldhammer.
No, but
I didn't mean to call you motherfucker. I'm sorry.
No, please do. And two, just not Aaron Goldhammer. One of those things is okay. One of those things isn't. Two, I don't think I've ever seen anything like getting named to the starting quarterback and then going to Vegas, having your coach find out about it, and then getting dropped to third string all in 1 week.
Yeah.
That all happened in the same week. Like, hey, Johnny, you just got named the starting quarterback of an NFL team. Maybe like take a minute and like practice and go over the playbook or something.
I still have the screenshot. Do you remember it was either a tweet or an IG post that he put out with his dog trying to, because remember the story got out. He's in Vegas. And he was like, no, I'm at home with my dog. We found out later he staged it in the hotel room in Vegas. I still have that somewhere. I still have the screenshot of that somewhere.
So great.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, I think the drama years, I think Johnny takes the cake because it was always something with this dude. I don't toot my horn about anything, but I was right about that shit. I think you can go find receipts from my Twitter, man, if you got no life. You can go back and look. And like literally in 2013, my prediction was Johnny Manziel is going to be a mobile Ryan Leaf in the NFL. That's what I said.
He wasn't even all that mobile.
And then he turns out he's fucking more of a train wreck than Ryan Leaf. I was actually wrong.
Dude, I mean, we should all known cocaine in the bathroom.
We should qualify this by saying he's an addict. You know,
yes,
I mean,
we should. Yes,
that's fair.
And unless you've been through it or seen it in your family, you can't understand how powerful that stuff is. I mean, it literally controls your life. So
I know.
You know, people like to still pile on him and stuff, and we're here having some yucks and everything, but I don't think anybody's been mean spirited about it. There's
I have no.
I just thought we should say that.
Yeah. I have no anger towards Johnny Manziel. I just like talking about the drama that he was involved in while he was around,
and it was twofold.
Dude, it's legend. It's things of legends, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. Has any quarterback in NFL history bailed on the team to fly to Vegas and walk around in disguise and introduce themselves as a Billy?
But he came back the next day still drunk and threw for 4 touchdowns. That was what the Raiders did in this. Yes. Stabler probably did, but you know.
Oh my god! Yeah, right. Fair. Yeah, Joe Namath. Right. Yeah, it was two things. It was obviously the addiction side of things, but it was also that he didn't need it. Like he didn't need to be a pro football player. Yeah. He comes from a rich family.
He didn't want it.
He didn't need it. He didn't want it. He didn't care. And now he's out there trying to be a pro golfer, which is a thing. Listen, the drama. We won't spend too much more time on the drama, but it wasn't like just Johnny. Like we had Kellen Winslow falling off motorcycles. We had LaCharles Bentley was going to like save the offensive line, and then he takes like a season-ending injury and never plays again.
First play of practice in that training camp, wasn't that the deal?
When they brought him in, it was like LaCharles Bentley. Our line is saved. We're great. Everything's good. Nope. I will never forget being in an elevator with the late great Casey Coleman. and I was his intern at WTAM.
Nice.
And yeah, really cool. And it was the snowy, awful morning that they announced the signing of Jeff Garcia.
Mm.
And I was excited because that's who I am just naturally. Like they bring a guy in and I'm like, let's look at the positives and sweet, this will be good. I get in this elevator with Corey Coleman at 3:00 in the morning. Corey Coleman, Jesus Christ. Casey Coleman. Yeah, not Corey Coleman, but we could talk about him. Casey Coleman.
How dare you stomp on his poor grave like that?
I know. Awful. I got in an elevator with this Browns legend. And I'm like, cool. They're going to announce Jeff Garcia today. That's going to be great. He goes, Jeff Garcia sucks. This just set the franchise back like 5 years. And I was like, what? Like, what? And then sure enough, I mean, they weren't like awful with Jeff Garcia, but he wasn't good. It just the saga
fit for that.
The whole point of this part of the conversation, what we have been through.
Oh yeah.
In 22 years, let's just say 20 because this last year was fine. What we have been through in 2 decades, nobody has ever been through this. The stuff that we are talking about, when you look at the drafts, first rounders, Barkevius Mingo. We all sit back and talk about Johnny Manziel, and nobody ever we all kind of forget to bring up Justin Gilbert. Justin Gilbert. Right. I know Johnny Manziel was the quarterback and whatever. He was the 22nd pick. Justin Gilbert was the 8th pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And he never did anything. Nothing. He out of the league bad. Corey Coleman and all of these, Trent Richardson and Brandon Wheaton.
Oh, Wheaton is one of the. I was even more mad at the Wheaton pick than the Manziel at the time
because he was 40.
Yeah.
God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Ginger. And Ginger. No, I'm kidding.
But he did. Brandon Wheaton provided us with one of the great moments in Browns history when he got stuck under the American flag and his first ever game.
Mm-hmm.
What a perfect situation that was.
And he threw, was it 4 picks in that Philly game? Was that his first game?
God.
Something like that.
Well, he never stopped.
The left-handed pass against the Lions was one of my favorites.
Ooh.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Showed very good natural instincts on that. That was very Favre-like.
I've always said that between the last 2 decades of just complete incompetence and the 3 previous decades that I was alive for of heartbreak like no other city has ever seen, there's nobody, I have friends who are New Yorkers and they're like Yankee fans and stuff like that.
Right.
I always tell them you wouldn't last 5 minutes in Cleveland because you're like, oh, it's been 4 years since the Yankees won us. Really 4 years? I could do 4 years without a title standing on my fucking head. Are you kidding me? I have one in my lifetime. I'm 52 years old. I have one professional championship in my lifetime.
I'll be 40 this year. I guess I'm right there with you. One.
Yeah. That's it.
One.
Oh God. And
I was in freaking Iraq when they won it. So, that tells you how far I had to go.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was in the Korea. I was out of the country too when they won it, which was unfortunate.
Kuwait, actually.
Shit.
But I was
any
not
cool Cleveland. Any backers bar in Iraq? None.
No. Well, but it was full. It was full.
There's a Browns Iran account.
Yes, I was just going to say that. That is very authentic, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that's run by some asshole.
Yeah,
totally
he's definitely a jerk.
Correct.
And I will never say it's me, but I will never deny it's me either.
Breaking news here on the Garage Beers podcast. We have another local celebrity from Browns Iran. All right, so let's transition. That a lot of crazy shit, a lot of shit that we've lived through, whether it's the heartache of the 80s and the 90s and leaving. Oh, I meant to say before, my favorite Browns memory is not even a Browns memory. It's a Ravens memory. Steve Everett is my favorite Browns player, or is my favorite all-time Browns player because he ran out of the end zone, or he ran out of the tunnel first game with the Ravens with a Browns bandana on. And
oh yeah,
legendary iconic status. That is one of my very favorite things that's ever happened.
Really good player too.
He's a beast.
Yeah,
he was.
Let's do a transition though. We did a lot of these draft things. I also wrote down names like I remember trying to talk myself into Leon McFadden or like Brian Radisky. Like, Jesus Christ. But then this year's draft happens, and I will give you, first of all, Stephen, a lot of kudos. I watched a lot of what you guys did for your draft coverage.
Mm-hmm.
It was fucking crazy. Like, you guys are animals.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
animals. Just the amount of coverage and stuff that you provided was incredible. Incredible. You and your group over at the OBR, that was awesome. But let's talk about this year, because who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? We don't know what the result's going to be. We don't know if Anthony Schwartz is going to be any good. I salivated over Tommy Togiai forever, and he winds up on the Browns. And I who knows if he's going to be any good or not. But the perception here is, oh shit! Like we know how to draft now. Like, something happened. His name was Andrew Berry, and we know how to draft.
Two good
now.
ones in a row, man. Two real good ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just talk about just your feelings coming after. Like it again, as a Browns fan, you're always kind of waiting for that next shoe to drop,
Of course.
right? Like what?
Always.
Okay, what's gonna suck about this? Like, which of our draft picks is gonna get like arrested 3 minutes after the draft,
Right.
and be ineligible or something like that? And like, just it's not happening this offseason. One of you guys, how are you guys feeling now? We've come away from the draft a little bit. Are we still just feeling the excitement that everybody was feeling on this electric weekend that happened here in Cleveland?
Well, I think if you're a lifelong if you're a Cleveland fan for more than 5 minutes, I don't think anything. Maybe if they win the Super Bowl, it'll go away. But short of that, I don't think anything will ever take completely away that feeling in the pit of your stomach. If you remember when you were kids, you watched cartoons. There was a lot more people that had grand pianos and anvils dropped on them from ropes from 4 stories high. I thought when I was a little kid that was going to be like a serious problem when I was an adult, because it happens all the time in cartoons, right?
Right.
And so you're always waiting as a Cleveland fan for that grand piano to drop on your head out of nowhere. I'm still waiting. I'll text Jake every so often and be like, how long till, they announce that Baker has a disease that 9 people on the planet have, or something. You know what I mean? Just something ludicrous.
Right.
But, the logical part of your mind takes over, and you're like, they're on a good path. Finally, they have a roster. They're not trying to build the roster from the ground up. They're adding the final pieces, and they know which pieces to target. And they've done it 2 years in a row in free agency and the draft. But like you said, and Andy and I talked about this on the pod a couple of days ago, you can't grade the draft,
Right.
the players for 3 years. You can grade the draft. That was he a good pick is a different question than does he turn out to be a good player? Because,
Yes.
was he a good pick is about value and perception and his draft profile and what you thought before the draft. It's kind of like a poker, thing. You play the odds. Sometimes the odds don't work out in your favor, but if you play the odds enough, eventually you're going to have the biggest stack at the table. And I think that's what they've been doing here. So I'll let Andy talk about his perceptions, but I was thrilled. I was thrilled up and down with the draft, the way it went this year.
Yeah, I was impressed. Well, just not even just outside of the draft, these last 2 off seasons that Andrew Berry's been at the helm, you got his year 1, it was revamping that line, offensive line. And then this offseason was all about revamping this defense. How he has transformed. Well, now, granted, the defense hasn't played a game yet, but I think we can all see that there's some better players on that defense. But as far as the draft goes, thing that stuck out to me is really with the first 2 picks, because he showed discipline by not moving up to get Newsome. He was smart, had everything mocked out, and obviously their mock boards were dead on. He was patient and showed discipline and let the player come to him. That first round reminded me of so many Ravens and Steelers drafts.
Yes.
Picking in the 20s. Mid to late 20s, and this defensive stud would just fall in their freaking lap. It kind of felt like that happened to us a little bit, so that was great. So he shows discipline by not, moving up and just standing pat and trusting the board and trusting their mocks and their research. But in the second round, he's still aggressive. He didn't stand pat. He was aggressive. So why I'm so impressed with Berry was how he switches gears and how he was able to be disciplined on one pick, but be aggressive on the other. And I like that. And that means he's not like a one-trick pony. He's like, oh, I'm just going to, be passive. And no, he went and got his guy JOK in the second round, moved up what was it, 7 spots? I think they moved up. So, it's like, at the end of the day, I think it's just the guy's so freaking smart. Like the guy has made me reevaluate my life. He's 5 years younger.
The competency is so refreshing, isn't it?
Yes.
The competency of this is so refreshing. Like, I mean, we just talked about it. Do you guys have full confidence in Andrew Berry now? Or like we said, Absolutely. Are we just waiting for the other shoe to drop? Like, are you still have that feeling in the pit of your stomach? Or does he have your full confidence?
The logical part of my brain, he has my full confidence. The OIC only in Cleveland part in the pit of my stomach. Like I said, I don't know that ever goes away until they win a Super Bowl. It's always there. But I know logically that I shouldn't listen to that little part down there. But it's still there. But I think the reason for that, Andy, is part of, at least part of it, is because of what we talked about earlier. The Haslams figured out they had to have a unified vision. And all those words that everybody argued about on Twitter after Barry was hired, unified vision, everybody rowing in the same direction, all blah, blah, all those, but those mean something. Because if you don't have everybody moving in the same direction with the same vision, the same thought process, the same goals, the same parameters, the same guardrails, if you want to talk about it in those terms, everybody used that term in the draft cycle, then you can't have the discipline to do what they did. Everybody needs to be on the same page so that when Andrew, hey, shit, should we take this deal? The other guy knows. Nope, I think we're okay. You know what I mean? Everybody's on the same page. If all the oars are not rowing in the same direction, the boat goes in circles. The boat went in circles for 2 decades. Now it's going in one direction because all the oars are rowing in the same spot. And I think that's a huge part of what you just talked about, Andy.
Well, what they did with like the guy that I don't know that, and I don't think that he really even wants it. The guy that I don't think will ever get the credit that he deserves is going to be Paul DePodesta. Like, I don't know. Right. I think there's insiders. Right. You guys might work with 1, 2, couple. You maybe, I don't know. On the OBR, we're not insiders. I'm a guy in Avon. I don't fucking know anything. But I think if you talk to some of the insiders, to what Paul DePodesta actually did to set the framework for this is how we are going to do this. Remember, Paul DePodesta is the guy. Right. When they hired Freddie Kitchens, he was the guy in the background going, you should probably hire this Kevin Stefanski guy. Like, this is the guy you should hire.
Well, they didn't listen. Ball when they hired Hugh, too. So,
right. It's, I think he, to me, is the guy that I think got Haslam's ear and went, this is how we have to do this. And from there, once other people were out of the picture and Haslam said, okay, and he put in place Barry, and he put in place Stefanski, and then the crew that came along with that. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what do we do? And I think, and Steven, I think the other thing, I think one of the shames you've talked, what do we do with our hands? We've lived it in Cleveland, though. If you win a championship in Cleveland, how do you ever get fired? Ever, for any reason. If you win a championship in Cleveland, go live like Johnny Manziel. It doesn't matter. You keep your job. And
unless Dan Gilbert's your owner.
What happened with the Cavs?
I would say David Griffin got fired.
Right. David Griffin and Ty Lue both get fired.
Right.
Get out of here.
You can make arguments for maybe Ty Lue wasn't the guy for a young rebuilding team. Whatever. He got fired.
Yeah.
He won a championship here. The guy should have a statue. Mexico, Missouri should get shout outs every game because of Ty Lue, and they don't. And he got fired. So that's part of that. What's going to happen in Cleveland? We're going to get 1 minute away from a Super Bowl championship, and then we're just going to forfeit or something is what's going to happen. So but again, the unified front of everything has been spectacular. And you guys brought up the offseason, or I'm sorry, the free agents, and this defense, man, a defense that weirdly, especially towards the end of the year last year, weirdly kind of made plays when they needed to. As bad as they were most of the year, they kind of made plays when they had to.
Right.
To add these guys, we had Troy Hill on the show. Troy Hill, John Johnson III, Jadeveon Clowney. Have you guys seen pictures of him in Brown stuff?
It's ridiculous. Huge human being.
Oh God. And I don't know how great he's gonna be, but then you talk about these guys you're getting back, right? Andrew Billings opted out last year. Everybody kind of forgets that, but he was supposed to be a piece on this defense, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
Grant Delpit, they showed a picture on Twitter of Grant Delpit standing next to Greedy Williams today, and he was like 7 feet taller. And he just looked like a giant man. And I was like,
And Greedy ain't small either.
right. Like it just this defense, we've talked a lot about the offense on this podcast because nothing changed. Like when was the last time? Has there ever been a time since 99 that the Browns have had an offense just come back?
Nope.
Because that's this year. The offense just came back.
Yeah.
No
Why
changes.
would you? Look back at some of those offenses. Why would you? You know,
Yeah, right. What did you have in return?
Absolutely.
some of them probably
did
wanted
not
to come
bring-
back, and they were like,
yeah.
"It's up to you. Why don't you stay in Nashville?" You know. I mean, you can find a cheap flight, but we're not footing it. You know.
Jim Pine was like, I'd like to still be the right guard. And they're like, yeah. Just the cohesiveness and the continuity is
not doing anything for the next 2 years.
yeah, right. It's that to me, the fact that they just said we're bringing this offense back and that we're going to revamp the defense, crazy. The one guy that everybody's talking about, right, is OBJ. Everybody's always going to talk about OBJ. When you've got OBJ on your team, he's going to be the guy everybody talks about. How important. Everybody's talking about how great he looks, right? Everybody's talking. That's what these guys do. I don't know why do we always act surprised about this? Elite athletes, and then they'll like tear their ACL and they'll come back freakishly fast. And everybody's like, can you believe how fast he came back? And they all do it. Freak athletes do it. How important is that guy to this offense?
Critical. I mean, I think we saw it last year. How many, you know, and I got argued with endlessly that they don't need speed at wide receiver. You know, look how many guys they brought in after he went down, from Marvin Hall through the rest, specifically because they were fast, because that was the element we were lacking. I mean, look at the Kansas City game. The Kansas City defense, I hate to say this, they were basically there was no respect more than 10 yards down the field. None. And there shouldn't have been. You know, I mean, Baker, that was one of the best games he's ever played. And he was thrown into windows that were like this big. Yeah. And he was threading it through there, which was amazing. And then you turn around because of, you know, injuries and COVID and everything else. Our defense was just, they had no chance. When Mahomes was in the game, he's throwing to guys that are 5, 6, 7 yards open, literally 5, 6, 7 yards open. You know, the difference in the difficulty between the two quarterbacks in that game was just ridiculous. So I think if there's I said as far back as December and January, Andy, you remember this, we had a conversation about it. You could tell by his tweets and IG posts and everything else, Odell was furious that he missed that run. He was hot because he gets a lot of shit, and some of it he brings it on himself. But I really honestly believe a lot of his problems in New York were that he is an ultra preparer and wants to win, and he didn't feel like everybody else cared as much as he did. And so he sort of pulled back into his shell, and the New York media will eat you alive and all that kind of stuff. So I really think he saw this past year a locker room full of guys with the same mindset that he has. Winning's the most important thing. I don't care. I'm doing whatever I got to do to get a W this week, and then we'll worry about next week. And he was furious that he missed it. So I told Andy as far back as January, Odell's going to have a monster year coming up next year. And people have argued with me, and I may be wrong. I've been wrong before. Yeah. But I think he's going to be an absolute destroyer of worlds. And then you throw in Anthony Schwartz on the other side. So he's not the only deep threat. And Schwartz is going to, we talked about this the other day. He's going to be limited in what he does as a rookie because he only runs a few routes because of a lot of stuff at Auburn very limited him. But you can't teach a legit 4.25. You can't teach it. At minimum, he's going to be taking somebody 40 yards down the field so they're out of the play, you know, and then that gives everybody else more room to operate underneath. So I think Odell is, you know, outside of Baker, is probably the key to this offense as far as taking it from as being really good, which it was last year, to being devastatingly great. That's what I think is
at least,
the key to it. Yeah. Where did you guys come out on the whole Baker is better without Odell on the field argument? Where did you guys come out on that?
I think it's crap.
Yeah, I mean, I never really understood that because how does an elite wide receiver with OBJ's athleticism and speed not help a quarterback? Like how? And I get it. I think at times, I think Baker was maybe forcing the ball to him, but that doesn't mean he's better without him on the field. No. And I know the stats were kind of skewed after OBJ went down. I know this Baker went on what was it, 16 touchdowns, 2 picks or something the rest of the way. And I think it's more coincidental than anything. At the end of the day, this whole offseason was about everything Andrew Berry's done, the Browns have done, was about what the theme that screams to me, and I told Steven this a couple times, and Steven knows this, is speed and versatility. That's what this whole theme of this offseason has been about. And what does OBJ do? He's got speed and he's versatile. He's a great route runner. He can run the go route. He can make his living across the middle on crossing routes and slants. He does all types of stuff. He's such a unique weapon at the wide receiver position. So, I definitely come out on that side of, no, Baker Mayfield and the Browns are better with a healthy OBJ. He's just got to stay healthy. That's it. That's it.
And the funny thing is,
there's so many unmeasurables to have somebody like OBJ on the field. You're not going to measure every time they don't throw his way.
Right.
But he's pulling, double coverage almost every time he's running downfield. So it's like, you can't measure that in a statistic, but he's having a huge impact on the offensive game plan.
The defense knows where Odell is every single snap.
And that helps the entire offense. Yes.
When you have these guys on your team, when you have Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and everybody else that's on this offense, even a freak who I want to talk about for a second in David Njoku, because I think he came on to just start to be that guy that we think he can be at the end of last year.
I love him.
Hold on a minute. When you've got all these guys on your team, Odell probably ain't going to have 1,800 yards. And if he does, something might have gone wrong.
Right.
Like something might have gone wrong if Jarvis Landry has 600 yards and Odell has 1,800. You know what I mean? Like, or if that running game isn't popping off and Odell Beckham's killing it, but nobody else is. The fact of the matter is, if Odell, maybe he gets 1,000 yards and Jarvis gets 800 yards and Nick Chubb runs for 1,400 yards because he can, and Kareem Hunt does his thing. When you're on an offense like this, and I think these guys have bought into it, which is that's the best part of it, including Odell. I think they've bought into the fact that I don't care if I've got 800 yards receiving or 1,600 yards receiving. If we're playing together as our part and doing what we do, we're going to be phenomenal. Anthony Schwartz, I said it from draft night. Again, you have to look up to the Chiefs. You have to look up to the Chiefs if you're the Browns. That's the team you got to get past. To me, he's very Mecole Hardman. He's very he's not the refined route runner. He's not but man, Mecole Hardman makes plays for that Chiefs team, right? He makes plays. They get him the ball in the backfield. And then all of a sudden you find him like in the corner of the end zone, just wide open and like it's just out of nowhere. If they can turn him into that, and that's where the Browns, we talked about Josh Cribbs before. And that was always my complaint about Josh Cribbs, that they never knew what to do with him outside of just letting him kick or field punts and kicks. They never knew what to do with him. Put him in the Wildcat. That's not creative. Everybody knows what's happening. They never knew how to get him the ball to let him make plays. If they can figure out, and obviously, if you don't have full faith in Kevin Stefanski now, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. But get Anthony Schwartz the ball. It may only be a couple times a game. Get him the ball in the flat. Get him the ball in the backfield. Send him deep a couple times. Don't even throw him the ball. It doesn't matter. That guy can create things for you. I think we saw what happens when Freddie Kitchens was over his head with a lot of talent, right? Ton of talent on that team. He was over his head. I think we finally have that group of people that understand how to get these people involved in all kinds of different ways. And you saw it with Stefanski last year. That's the most exciting part for me is it's not just the creativity and the nonsense. It's not just, we might see every once in a while a flea flicker, and that's really cool. It's like they actually get how to get these guys involved.
And I think that's the key with Stefanski, and is he has a system, he has his preferred things, but whatever's working is what he's going to do. And he showed that last year, and I think as far as specifically how that relates to Schwartz as a rookie, he may grow into something a couple years down the road, but as a rookie, Like you said, just the speed. Drag two guys out of the play because they have to respect your speed. Take them down there, and then we'll dump it to Nick Chubb in the flat. And Nick Chubb one-on-one against a linebacker instead of 4 defensive backs because they had to honor Schwartz down the field. That's one thing he can absolutely do. But if you watch his college film at Auburn, because of their quarterback inconsistencies, and I'm being very nice,
super very nice.
They had to figure out ways to get him the ball. So if you watch him, he's already experienced in the jet sweep, the orbit motion. He knows the timing on those kinds of things, and his kind of speed. Andy and I just talked about this the other day. It not only separates vertically, but it separates horizontally, which is huge. Imagine him and I'm really generalizing here, a bunch formation, and they move people around and they get the matchup they want. And again, he's on a linebacker or he's on a bigger, kind of slow, strong safety, somebody that's not their top corner, whoever it happens to be. And you drag him 8 yards across while the other guys are flooding a different zone. He's going to leave that guy in his dust. So now Baker's got a very easy 8-yard drag throw that he can turn into a 40-yard play. You don't necessarily have to throw the ball 40 yards in the air to get a 40-yard pass play when you have speed that threatening. And he's got threatening level speed. So at minimum, I think that's what he can do as a rookie. And as far as his route running stuff that you mentioned, which is absolutely true, he needs to tighten that up, and he needs to expand his route tree. Who better to learn that kind of technical stuff from than Odell and Jarvis Landry? They're great. Whatever you think of their contracts and all that kind of stuff, they're precise in their route running. They know how to prepare.
They're tremendous route
Saturday.
runners.
Guys, look at this wide receiver. We're talking these wide receivers.
We're cutting some
I just kind of got excited. Like over here because there's these other guys we haven't even talked about. Rashard Higgins.
It's a really good room, man.
He's not the fastest guy out there. He's not the best wide receiver on the planet. He's really good though.
Knows how to get open.
He catches everything too.
Yep.
And now they're talking about
And
now you're talking about Baker Mayfield comes out today and goes, you guys should see what Donovan Peoples-Jones looks like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about DPJ. They are almost certainly going to cut JoJo Natson. They're going to cut Derek Willis. They're going to cut Ryan Switzer. I mean, they're going to cut at least 3, probably 4 guys who will get significant snaps somewhere else in the league, which is a far cry. I mean, we were talking about all the shit we've been through. I mean, remember with the week after the last preseason game, the waivers, every year it was like, okay, we got to find a starting right guard. We got to find 2 wide receivers. And they have to start in 6 days, And now
who's left?
We're cutting guys that are going to start someplace else. It's bananas to see how far this team has come in 2 years.
The Browns used to cut guys, and you would immediately see them selling cars at Serpentina Chevrolet, right? Like that's immediate. Like, well, shit, I got cut by the Browns, so I gave it my best.
I'm coaching at my old high school.
Now they're going to be cutting guys who are going to be getting scooped up on the waiver wire right away.
I would imagine that we're going to see more than one trade during that week. We're going to be trading for these guys that we're going to cut because other teams are going to want them. Teams lower down on the waiver wire, and so we may get. Let's say they, pick a position. I don't know. They're not happy with the depth at defensive tackle.
Safety,
whatever.
Well, they've signed 40 in the last 6 weeks.
Well, I know it's not them, but whatever.
I'm kidding.
Let's say they, some other team has a DT they're going to cut, and they need a wide receiver. So we'll do one of those player for player swap things, or the other thing is, and this is fun to think about with Andrew Berry, we will stock up on 5th round picks, 6th round picks, maybe a 4th round pick. Something like that, and because we're cutting rosterable players. It's crazy to think about, but you look at the numbers in the wide receiver room, the defensive tackle room, the edge group, the offensive line group. There's just not enough room. They're going to cut people in those spots that are going to play someplace else and play a lot.
Well, guys, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is what I can't stop thinking about. Who's getting cut, right? Which and not these right, JoJo Natson, Ryan Switzer, guys that can play, right?
Good
guys
players.
that can play, but like okay, like when you look at this wide receiver room and Ryan Switzer gets cut, you're like, dude, I'm sorry,
right?
Seems like a great dude. He went through that whole.
5 years ago, we'd have been burning down our Browns Twitter timeline,
right?
Lighting that shit on fire.
Now you look around,
gasoline and
which players Which players do you guys see getting cut that it's going to be like, whoa? I think there's an obvious one that everybody brings up.
Well, 51, I will be, and I hate to say it, I've said this for 3 years. He puts in the work. It's just not there. He tries. He busts his ass. He loves Cleveland. He wants to be here. I think it's far more likely than not that 51 is gone. For several reasons, not the least of which is the linebacker room, which we all argued about endlessly, has it's another spot. There's just too many guys.
Yeah,
They're not all going to make it.
And if you're photoshopping your biceps on Twitter, that's an automatic release.
Well, listen, I've been doing that for years. Look at these.
Not things. On Tinder, on Twitter. Yeah.
Listen, my wife doesn't know about that Tinder account, okay? So back off.
My wife got me one for Christmas. She's like, will this keep you from crawling on top of me? Go for it. I don't want you around here.
That goes back to those New Balances you were talking about before. 25-year-old Tinder girls, look out. No, but that's crazy, right? That linebacker room, that linebacking group was bad last year. And there were bright spots.
Malcolm Smith played pretty well.
Malcolm Smith was a bright spot. Taki had his has had his moments. I'll never forget. I was on a flight the day after they drafted Taki, and I just randomly was seated next to a Brown scout, and I asked him, well, which player should we be most excited about? He goes, Taki's the guy that I think is the guy.
Interesting. And
I think it might be taking him a couple years, but he's making plays out there. You obviously you're bringing in free agents. Anthony Walker? Really good player,
huge pickup. Yeah,
I mean, like, I just think I'm looking around and I'm thinking, okay, is Sheldrick Redwine going to be a Brown?
I think I'd lean no.
Is Mac Wilson going to be a Brown? Is where else are we going to see? Look at that defensive line.
Well, yeah,
the defensive line is crazy.
I was just gonna go there because Steve and I just talked about this the other day, and as I just mentioned a little bit ago, they've literally acquired 36 defensive tackles in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah,
it seems like that. Free agents, draft picks, undrafted free agents. There's a lot of talent there. I gotta believe that Malik Jackson and Billings are safe. I would think, but
nothing's guaranteed. Yeah,
exactly. And I know Steven loves Billings. And I was with Steven last year. That signing, I thought that was like one of the most under the radar signings last year. But then he opted out and he didn't play last year. Then there's some picks floating online, man. He's put big. On some. He's bigger. Let's put it that way. We'll be nice.
Large guy.
He was always a large guy, but he's
COVID weight.
Yes, let's just put it this way.
Yeah.
From December 2019 from December 2019 to now, he's a different man. He's a lot bigger. So I mean, he's got time to get in shape, but that was a little alarming to me because like the Browns, there's nothing guaranteed with that player, even though I love the player. I literally thought it was the most under the radar signing the Browns made last year. However, if he is like actually out of shape and it's just not a bad angle of his body or something, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I think that's someone that I think that a lot of people aren't thinking about that might not make the team because I think that interior defensive line is going to be one of the hottest competitions in camp.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it is. No, I'm just saying. No, you're fine. There's just a lot of play. I mean, there's a lot of good players in that room, dude. Lots.
I'm not sorry you called me a motherfucker before, so not even all that sorry about it. No, listen, I said it before the draft. We did our pre-draft show. I said the guy I want them to walk out with is Tommy Togiai.
Ooh,
and I'm not an Ohio State homer. I'm a Texas A&M fan. I'm not an Ohio State homer. But
you've proved this.
But that dude, fuck me, right? But that guy changed that defense at Ohio State. And if you can change the defense at Ohio State, you gotta be something. There's something about you that has to be something. Yeah. I think we got a year coming up here where you're going to see some of these draft picks that don't make this team.
I think you're right. If you look specifically at the defensive tackle room, I'm with you guys. Billings and Jackson, it would be shocking. I thought Jackson was a highly under the radar pickup this year. I think he's a critical piece. But both of those guys, that being said, they're on 1-year deals that aren't that bad if something goes wrong. So, I would be very surprised if those two guys don't make it, but nothing is guaranteed because you look at the group behind them. Jordan Elliott, they really like. I loved that pick last year. I'm with you. I thought Togiai was robbery where they got him. Sheldon Day, and nobody wants to talk about Damian Square. Damian Square is not Aaron Donald, but he is a solid. He eats a lot of snaps. He makes plays. He's good. Marvin Wilson, they gave him a UDFA badge.
Yes. Well,
and nobody knows what's going on with Malik. Malik McDowell could be any. You could tell me that he's going to be the number 1 defensive tackle or cut the first week of camp and anything in between, and I would believe you. So
one of those things will happen.
Exactly. But I mean, right there, you're looking at 8 guys we named, and
that's what I'm saying.
At most 5, probably 4.
4. You would think.
It is so crazy, and I think the most fun thing, and then we'll get to I think kind of the last thing that we've got for you guys. I think the most fun thing is that I think it's going to be a little bit of a fun. I think the defense is going to be kind of non-traditional, right? I think that you've set this up that your playmakers are on that line and in that defensive backfield, and you've got some good linebackers. But even if you're talking about JOK that you drafted, that guy is a linebacker, yes, but he's so good at what he does and so fast.
It's more of a
that
safety.
He's a safety and a linebacker, and he's a cover linebacker, and
he's a safety backer.
He's in everything.
Yeah.
Yes, the way they play defense is going to be so fun to watch. Right? You are going to have Grant Delpit, and you're going to have Harrison out there, and you're going to have John Johnson out there.
He was my
Those
guy.
guys are going to be out there all at the same time.
Oh,
because how could you not have them out there at the same time?
My penis just moved.
Oh. It's been a long time.
You're drinking White Claw.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is it just came back out. It's fine.
But I mean, think about it. You think about it right now. The obvious, 3rd and 9, obvious passing situations. You would think, at least at the start, it's going to be Miles, Clowney, Jackson, Tack. That's your 4. Now, your defensive backfield is going to be the 3 safeties: Delpit, Harrison, John Johnson, JOK, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Troy Hill. We haven't even talked about Greedy Williams.
Keep going.
Don't stop.
Slower.
Hold on. Here.
Um,
I've got this thing of paper towels for you. You need these.
But I mean, you think about, we haven't talked about the depth pass rushers. We talked about JOK as the only linebacker. We haven't talked about, like I said, Greedy Williams isn't in that. The options that they have and the versatility that they have to disguise things. Now imagine you're the offense looking at that. You don't know where Miles can go inside. Clowney can go inside. Malik Jackson can go outside. Tack can go either side, although he's better over here. We all know that. Those defensive secondary guys, which only a couple of exceptions, can cover outside. They can cover the slot. They can drop deep in zone. They can blitz.
Yep.
You have no idea who's doing what as an offense. It's the ability, I call it amoeba-like, the ability to disguise and confuse, even if it only buys you 1/3 of a second. In the NFL, that's all you need. That's all you need.
Guys, where do you see Andrew Sendejo fitting?
I think the Colts are going to love him.
So all this being said, right? Your offense is the same, and the last 8 we've all talked about this. The last 8 weeks of the season, this offense was elite. Baker Mayfield was one of the best quarterbacks in football the last 8 weeks of last season. Like better numbers than Patrick Mahomes was Baker Mayfield the last 8 weeks of last season. You now have this revamped defense that has even if it takes them a minute, like here's where we are, guys. Even if it takes them a minute to gel, they're going to be good. They're going to be good until they're great. That's where that group is, unless their limbs start falling off. They're good until they're great. Are we prepared? Like, are we ready for this?
I don't think so.
Are we okay with being like a Super Bowl contender?
I don't think so.
Yes, I'm ready.
I think we'll enjoy it, but I don't think we're ready. We don't know what to do. How do we prepare for that? How are we arrogant?
We
We don't know how to be cocky.
We're asking Nick Chubb if he's like getting ready to be better at catching passes in press conferences. That's where we're at. Like, are we ready for this?
Very loose use of the word "we" there, Michael. But okay, yeah, it's kind of amazing that we're talking about Super Bowl, and we're not deluding ourselves. Like it's like we're saying things have to go wrong for them not to compete, not that everything has to go right for them to. Like it's the opposite of that.
This isn't the 2008 season. You know what I mean?
I got in almost a fist fight with a buddy of mine, trying to convince him that Muhammad Massaquoi and Brian Rubisky were like the answer. I was drunk in a hot tub in Texas. And I almost got in a fist fight with a buddy because he was like, "You're delusional." And I was like, "I'm fucking right."
Well, you went to Texas. I love Texas. I've always had a good time every time I've gone there. Great people, fun people. But you answer me this. If you're drunk in a hot tub with Texas, isn't it required by law that you get in a fist fight? I thought that was like part of the rules.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and he was from Florida, so like Florida man battling in shit. He wore a lot of jean shorts.
And,
a lot of jean shorts.
Florida man shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish jorts would make a comeback.
What are you You're wearing them right now, aren't you?
Wait till you're 50. Anything you want to wear makes a comeback. Trust
Well,
me.
I mean, you never wear pants. You hate them more than you hate your wife.
This is true.
So I don't.
This is
Wow. Wow. Mrs. Thomas.
She'll never watch this. It's okay.
She's actually
what I do.
At this point, she's one of our few watchers.
She thinks I'm an actuary. It's okay.
She loves me. She loves me because I get to keep him away from her even more.
This is true.
Why would you think you're an actuary?
I don't know. She never listens to me.
So all this being said, my last question, because I just thought this was kind of a fun thing to end on. We've been through a ton of really good players with the Browns. We've talked a lot of the bullshit. But we've been through a ton of really good players.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this iteration of the Browns, this 99 to 2000. What's the one player, and you're not allowed to name Joe Thomas or Josh Cribbs. What's the one player where you're like, I wish that guy was on this team?
To add to this team? Like to take the spot of somebody else? Or
Nah, it doesn't have to be that deep.
Okay.
It can just be
mine's so easy. If I can't have Joe Thomas nor who was the other one?
Oh shit!
Cribbs.
I should have also said Phil Dawson.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
You can't say Phil Dawson off the board. Okay,
Because
fine.
that's
that should be everybody's answer.
Yeah, that's going to be everybody's answer. I'm trying to
You
go a
don't want
little
another
deeper
Cody
than that.
Parkey? Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to go a little deeper than no Chris Gardocki. Like he can't be like the only one good player that ever played for the Browns at that position, like Phil Dawson.
Well, then I have to think because that was my answer.
Of course it was. Of course I should have. That was my fault for giving you bad notes.
Well, I mean, if we could just talk about him for a second, I think we got spoiled for so long, like we did with Joe Thomas, with Phil Dawson, in that if we were inside the 40, it was basically a guaranteed 3 points. And I think we all got sort of distracted from that because we bitched about how bad the offenses were at finishing drives. We focused on that instead of enjoying the fact that if we were inside the 40, probably 90% of the time we came away with 3 points. And that would be huge for this team because when you're competing for a Super Bowl, so many close games, so many playoff games decided by special teams. But can we get like a specific season of a guy, or do we have to take his whole?
Oh yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can do whatever you want there.
Okay.
Mine would be Alex Mack. I was
going to say Alex Mack as well.
Great player.
I thought we need
I don't
him.
know. Is he better than JC?
Nothing against Shredder, but I mean, I think Mack's probably the better.
Yeah, it's not a replacement. It's not like replace JC with Alex Mack. It's just like I really like this guy. I wish he was on this team.
Alex Mack for me.
Then let's see. Probably Hayden. Would have to be in the discussion. He was really good for a number of years. If you could go with specific seasons. How about obviously 2013 Josh Gordon? I mean, who wouldn't want that on their team? Or even Jordan Cameron from that year. Or maybe Gary Barnage from 20. What was Perry?
Crazy.
What was Barnes? 2015 that he had his
Yeah,
big year,
something like
that.
that. It's all
God,
one.
remember that.
One blur.
Carlos Dansby had 1 or 2 really good years as a
Good one.
linebacker. How about? Oh, here we go for this specific team. This actually probably would be my answer because this is the spot we're unsure about. How about 2008 Sean Rogers? I think it was 2008.
Oh,
He had his monster year with
Sean
us.
Rogers was so good.
Maybe. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah.
Just put him in the middle of this defensive line with the edges that we have, and make him the starting guy, and then that would be that. Probably either that if we can go with a specific season, but if we got to take a chunk of seasons, it almost has to be Hayden. Really, I think.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with just 2 of my favorite players. That I'm going way early when they came back. Jameer Miller is one of my favorite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He had a couple good years with us.
Yeah.
He was so good. And he was impactful, right? I don't mean to bring up a guy in a negative light, but I always bring up DeQuell Jackson as the guy that would have 150 tackles, but they were all 12 yards down the field.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Okay. Jameer Miller was impactful. He was an impactful player.
Really good player.
And then the other one, and it's just, I hate when I think you've got a really good player that gets cut short because of injuries. I think Courtney Brown was really good. I think he had the ability to be really good. I think that 2001 when they started getting good, 2002, I remember watching him in that Bears game that they lost in overtime because, again, all of my favorite memories are when they lose close games, apparently. Courtney Brown, I think, was really good, and he just was effed by everything. Those were my two picks. I loved those 2 guys and would love to see them. Obviously, the choice is Joe Thomas.
Oh, of course.
That guy, he's the greatest, literally maybe the greatest Brown of all time. Like literally maybe the greatest Brown.
Oh, he's easily top 5, arguably top 1 or 2 left tackles in the history of the NFL.
Right.
You put him out there for a decade and forgot about it. I mean, that's how good he was. You forgot he was out there. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
And we got spoiled with that, And this is nothing against Jed because I think Jedrick Wills is going to be really freaking good. I think they're set at tackle for the next 5 years. Yeah. I mean, literally, arguably, you could easily make a case he's the greatest left tackle. I'm not saying he definitely is. Don't send me hate tweets. Because there's other guys. There's other guys that were really, really good too. I mean, Jackie Slater, and I mean, name it. It doesn't matter, But he's in the He's in that conversation easily.
Well, boys, this it's been this last part of this has been just like we haven't thought about it. We've done a couple Olympic episodes. We've done some Indian stuff. We've done Cavs. We've done hockey. We've been Blue Jackets. We've kind of been off the Browns since the draft.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute since we've really talked about the Browns. And we got into that conversation of just like, oh, hey, that offense is back. So just fucking forget that. And now here's this defense. And they're there, boys. Like this is going to be, we went 11-5 last year in the regular season with a shit ass defense that was like good enough when they needed to be.
You ain't lying.
And now look at them. Now you're adding a game, whatever. I don't know. Is this it? Is this the year? Are we feeling it? Are we ready to go out on that limb and be like, this is the year?
I don't know if it's the year because the AFC is so stacked, and it usually takes a contender a year or 2 to learn how to win at that level. And the Chiefs have already won at that level, So it's just a game to them. To us, it's, oh my God, we're in the AFC Championship, that kind of stuff. So I think here's where I am with them. Assuming a relatively normal year of health, especially at the critical positions. Baker goes down, we're screwed. Something like that happened. Relatively normal year of health. I think 12 wins is more than reasonable. 11 should be the floor. 11 should be the floor. At least one home playoff game. And I think anything short of getting to the AFC Championship game, I don't want to use the word disappointment because, like I said, it is stacked. And if Aaron Rodgers ends up in Denver, like Ben Albright says he thinks is going to happen, that's another team that's right there competing with everything.
We all kind of forget about like Buffalo and like
exactly
so many good and
people
Baltimore.
Want to make fun of Tennessee. They're really good.
Yeah,
Baltimore, we got to beat them. We got to beat them. We have to climb over them. The Dolphins, if Tua is anything,
Chargers too.
The Chargers could be. The AFC is freaking stacked, but I think if you fall short of the AFC Championship game, it will be I can't think of a different word. Disappointing, I guess. That's not the right word, but that should be the floor of the expectations, I think, is at least competing for the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steven, because if they come out in the wild card game or second round and get eliminated, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be disappointed. When you be, would say they snuck in with 11-6 record, lost in the wild card weekend, I'd be disappointed.
Yes.
For sure.
So would that.
But I mean, you guys were just asking, are we ready for this? And I was like, hell yeah. And then Mike let it up with that amazing lead up to describing what we're about to go through. And no, you're right. I'm not ready.
Mom,
I was, but bring me more pain.
At least another White Claw. You need at least another White Claw.
Yeah. 2, 3. No,
that's cool. That's only.
What the fuck was your question again? I'm sorry. I lost train of thought.
Who knows? Who knows? Joe, are you ready?
Am I ready for what?
Just this. Are you ready? Are we prepared to be a real contender?
No, because even though we were 11-5 last year, it was still kind of like a cardiac year where it's just not an actual cardiac year, but just stressful the entire way. And I kind of feel like this year won't be stressful the entire way, and I don't know if that's okay. So I don't know. We'll see. I might not need any blood pressure medication.
The best thing is you could go right now. You could go online right now and get the attention of national people and be like, I think the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl this year. And you know what? Not a lot of people are going to argue with you.
Right.
I mean, they'll argue. They'll be like, oh, the Chiefs. But they're not going to be like, you're crazy. The Browns suck.
Right.
No.
Last year they would have said you're crazy.
Right.
Yes.
I will say this. I think we're all in agreement here. There's a very good chance we have a good, dare I say, 5-year, at least 3-year window here. I think it's going to be more like a 5-year. But I will say, and I bet Steven agrees with me because he's really smart. A little bit. This might be. It's hard to predict the future, obviously. But if that is a 5-year window, it's quite possible this could be the most talented roster they have for that 5-year window. I think that's possible because we don't know. We don't know when you really think about it. OBJ, Jarvis, Ronnie Harrison.
They got to start paying people.
Nick Chubb. I mean, these are all people that are going to be free agents here. So basically what I'm saying is the way the contracts have worked out when they come in the league and who's on rookie contracts, your starting quarterback's still on a rookie contract. So this might be the most talented roster they will have over this 5-year window. It could be. So
good point.
Maybe win that freaking thing now. Just win it, please.
You brought up that W word. You brought up that window word, and we're Cleveland fans. So I immediately think of the Indians and what they did.
Well, as long as
Jimmy
D aren't coming out and saying enjoy him to anybody.
Paul Dolan ain't running this show.
No. This is something that Andy and I have discussed over the years. People say, "Oh, should you go all in? Should you do this or blah? Would you rather be good for a long time?" I go, "Well, we have 2 examples right here in Cleveland. Say whatever you want about Dan Gilbert. He spent his ass off to get that title. Okay,
Sure did."
And I remember vividly the Kevin Love, Andrew Wiggins arguments. If you trade for Kevin Love, you're going to fuck up the cap in 2019. And I would say, if they win a title, are you going to fucking care about the 2019 cap? And I don't
care.
They've been shitty. And I said, it's all worth it, completely worth it.
Yes.
Or you have the Indians who've been good and competitive for how many years, have never brought home a title. Would you rather have that? No. So for the past few years, well, forever really, but you guys are on Twitter, every year at the trade deadline, Browns fans, they need to trade next year's 1 or next year's 2 for so-and-so or so-and-so. And you go, okay, I get why you're saying that. That guy's a great player, but is he going to take them from 4-8 to the Super Bowl? No. So then why would we do that? This year, if we get to the trade deadline and they think they are – pick a position, 1 corner short, 1 pass rusher short, 1 whatever short. I'm not saying Andrew Berry's going to give away the farm. He will never do that. But it might be the year that a future 2 for a 1-year rental might make sense. I'm not guaranteeing it, but this could be the year, and that's fucking exciting, man.
This is how the other side lives.
Yes.
This is how they live.
It is. This is what goes on in those gated communities.
Give me a goddamn rental. Let's go.
So, there's so much
I can't even
excitement.
sit straight. Oh, fuck.
Boys.
Shit.
I don't know.
Boys,
Steven,
this
you
has
turned me
been
on so much.
You're drinking
Yeah,
White
sorry,
Claw.
I think you got us all.
I can't be with somebody who drinks White Claw.
I have interrupted Mike so much tonight. I'm sorry.
And you called me the motherfucker earlier. in the
I
show.
They will
know.
never have us back. We've interrupted them. We've dominated.
Never.
You're drinking White Claw. We chased Chad off. I mean, for
Yeah,
God's sake, they're never going to have us back.
Poor Chad. Chad might be the best part of our entire show too, and like just gone. And he's the funny guy, and we have the funny guys on, and like, oh shit. Boys, this has been absolutely spectacular. Thank you for taking. It's been a couple hours. Thank you for taking a couple hours to hang out with us.
Fun.
Again, congratulations. Let's hit it real quick before you guys get off. If you are not following, get over there and follow at Not Same Browns. At Not Same Browns. It's the Not the Same Old Browns podcast. Now on the OBR. So you know they're legit, unlike us. They're legit. Browns podcast. Totally kidding. Stephen Thomas, Andy Lytle, Andy at Andy Cleaves with the underscore, and Stephen Thomas at Browns Mock Draft. You guys have been such a good time and exactly what we knew what was going to happen here. But we had a ton of fun with you. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck with everything. Just remind everybody, when can they hear the podcast? When does it come out every week? All that.
Usually episodes will drop somewhere on a Monday or Tuesday. Usually I've been dropping them on Tuesdays lately. But once the season starts, I think episodes will probably drop day after the games, usually. No more than that. But we'll be dropping one weekly episode like I always have been. You can find an Apple Podcast, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And then additionally, starting on June 30th, on Wednesday, June 30th, we're going to be doing an additional show for the OBR live on their YouTube. So that'll be starting June 30th, we're going to be dropping the normal episode, which is like, 1 to 2 hours long, and then like a 45-minute episode that we'll do live on the OBR's YouTube on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m.
More
yes,
live stuff is coming.
So lots of
OBR is going to be doing live broadcasts. I'm not going to say every night of the week, but most nights of the week.
Yes.
We
boys are going to be busy.
We just can't announce the specifics because we're still hashing it out at this point. So, but it's coming probably around the time camp starts, Andy. Isn't that where we're shooting for?
Yes, my goal
Late
is
July?
Yes, like very end of July to launch that. We're still working it out. We don't even know where we're going to do it yet. We got to get some okays here, okays there. And it's a little bit of a process, but either way, the live streaming is going to be extensive once training camp starts and into the season and through the season on the total OBR. Not just Steven and I, Jake Burns and Cody, the whole Brad Stainbrook, Lane Atkins, Barry, everyone. So it's going to be a group effort, and I'm glad they brought me. Again, they're out of their minds for bringing me over, but I'm not going to argue, so I'm here.
That's what I said.
You heard it here first. The George Kukinis Hour live with Lane Atkins
every Friday. Every
Friday. Well, guys, again, congratulations. We love having people come back with us, and it has been so much fun having you guys on. Hopefully, we can do this again as the Browns are making their way towards the Super Bowl. But congratulations again. Get over to the OBR. Follow these guys at Not Same Browns on Twitter. Follow them. Listen to the podcast. Subscribe to it. It is awesome. Andy, Steven, thank you so much for coming on with us. Go have a great rest of your night.
Anytime. It was a blast. Go Browns.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Boys, thank you so much. Sorry about all the bullshit at the beginning. That doesn't really happen, but
it happens.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe we do it again. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, we are. Well, we'll cut this out. That's fine.
Oh, good.
We do this every time.
Anyways.
Hey, welcome to live streaming.
I was about to rip my clothes off and everything.
There's two people, so it's fine. We get more people that listen than watch, but it's fine. We'll cut this out.
Yeah. Go figure. Podcasts, people like to listen to them, not watch them. Go figure.
Yeah.
We do it anyways. Because every once in a while we get some good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good way. No, it's good. No, it's good to live.
It's fun. Well, and when you're having a conversation style, it's always easier when you can actually see somebody that you're talking to.
Yeah,
it makes it more intimate. So yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Fellas, it was a blast. Thank you so much. Good luck. Congratulations
Thanks for having
again.
us on, man.
This was awesome.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Later. Leave studio. Oh, yep, I'm out. I promise. All right, guys, I'm really leaving now. Thanks again, Mike, Joe. That was a lot of fun. Really, thank you guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Are you guys gonna have a meeting right now?
Well, we're still live streaming. We're gonna finish.
I'm
Hey, listen. If you're still watching us, and there's a couple of you that are, Dominic, I think you are still out here. Dom, listen, man, I didn't mean to ignore you. I was in full screen mode, but yes, you've got good stuff happening here.
I like the full screen mode.
I do like.
I did that as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Dom, for hanging on. There was some disaster that happened there. That's podcasting, though. So listen, what we're doing now, we're going to get Chad back on, and we're going to record our 3 cheers of the week. Yeah. And then we're going to be done.
Chad's going to come out of timeout?
Well, he said he's coming. He said he's coming.
Yeah.
Look at Dom. Man, we appreciate you. You're getting your hat tomorrow. Very exciting.
The pictures don't show, but they got the beer bottle on the back.
Yes. Yeah. Tell your friends.
Super cool.
We still got more merch to give away before we can make another order. So
yeah. Also, I wasn't sure about the green on the bottom, but I really dig it. Like looking at it on the camera.
Yeah.
It's a
good hat. It's a good hat. So Chad said he's coming back. We'll do our 3 cheers of the week. Then we'll get out of here, and you guys can listen to this again. But man, again, we're just BSing. Awesome. This will get cut out of the podcast tomorrow. But wow, those guys! Well, maybe. What a good time.
We'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow morning.
What a freaking good time, though.
Those guys are awesome. I enjoyed having them on.
Heck yeah, and the fact that they put up with the tech issues that we had at the beginning, man. Sometimes with the internet,
we handle it well for the first time ever having a tech issue. So
yeah, it's fair. All right, Chad's back. Hi, Chad.
Hey.
I do bet you that's what was going on. Is there's so many people in the stream that it just
wrecked Chad.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. You know what? We had a good time, Chad. We missed you, but we're still live streaming. By the way, we missed you. But we're gonna finish up.
Everything was fine until we were so rudely joined by 2 of the awesome dudes.
Yeah, fucking guys. We're just gonna kind of pick up with a little edit mark here, and then we'll go into our last bit, 3 cheers of the week, and be done. Good?
Yeah.
All right. And once again, big time thank you goes out to our special guests, Andy Cleaves. You know him on Twitter, Andy Cleaves. Andy Lytle is his actual name. Stephen Thomas at Browns Mock Draft on Twitter, and at Not Same Browns, or Not the Same Old Browns podcast. They are going to do great work. They're 2 very entertaining guys that are going to put on a great show for the OBR, so go follow them as well. That's going to do it for us this week. As always, we wrap things up with our 3 cheers of the week, where we just shout out something great that happened this week, some good news, some positivity to get out of here. And so I'll lead us off this week so nobody can steal it, but nobody's going to steal it. I want to cheer something that we have here in Ohio, that if you're not taking advantage of it, you should be. But I spent the day today out at like Kelly's Island. Those islands out there, man, if you are not, I turned to my wife as we were out there and I said, imagine the amount of people that live close to where we live. It's like an hour away that just never go out there. It was like being on a whole goddamn vacation, and we were only out there for like 4 hours. Like, you're on the island. It's sunny. It's beautiful. There's breweries and wineries and restaurants, and there's just a lot of there's beaches. There's a lot of stuff to do, whether you go to Kelly's, which is a little more my speed, or Put-in Bay, which is a little more my speed 12 years ago. It's just a good time out there. So my shout out, we've got a lot of great stuff here in Northeast Ohio, in Northern Ohio. the islands out there, the Lake Erie Islands. I'm giving a shout out to the Lake Erie Islands. It was great. I'm sunburnt because of it. Chad, what's yours?
Guys, I think I was trying to touch on it at the beginning of the show, but again, technical difficulties prevented me from doing that. So I think I'll give my cheers to fast food fight videos.
Yes.
The one that happened in Ohio, right? At the McDonald's?
Oh my God! Like I was trying to tell you guys earlier, I went down a rabbit hole trying to figure out whether I liked like stadium and arena fight videos better or fast food videos better. And I honestly think I enjoy fast food videos, fight videos better, just for strictly.
I can see it.
The entertainment, because the reasoning, like this woman this morning, I just heard her. I swear to God, I heard coffee is cold. She just started fighting this woman. And I mean, sure. When you get like arena or like stadium fight videos, you get some acrobatics going on every now and then. Like some guy will barrel roll down like 4 or 5 rows of seats, and that's entertaining. But the reasoning behind a lot of these fast food fight videos is just awesome. And so cheers to the fast food fight videos.
What's funny about that one is that showed up on like the Tennessee news, so that's how I knew it was bad.
and kudos to the McDonald's employee. She kept her cool for as long as she could, and finally she just snapped.
That's tough.
Honorable mention in fight videos was the fight video that happened in Denver Nuggets, Phoenix Suns fan. That guy was a hockey player, right? Like you guys saw the video. You didn't see the video?
No.
So essentially standard bullshit, 2 drunk people in the stands in Denver yelling at each other. And they kind of come together and then they kind of separate. Well, this moron Nuggets fan who was in the higher ground row, which means he should have won that fight. This Nuggets fan is like, I'm cool. And then all of a sudden he just throws like a total cheap shot. And he throws a couple punches. Well, the Suns fan that he was going at, like legit, he had like pure hockey player vibes, grabs him by the jersey after he gets punched in the face, grabs him by the jersey and just starts chucking uppercuts and like destroy this guy. This guy just kind of falls limp in his arm, like just. And we don't condone the fights, but like I also like a good stadium fight, and that was a good one. Where it wasn't bullshit. It was like this dude got sucker punched from higher ground and then came back and won the shit out of that fight.
No, usually the fast food fights are much more like fun and scrappy. The stadium fights are usually just like not good form, honestly.
Correct.
If we're gonna be like really nitpicky about it, they're just drunk people like going at it. So if there was good form, this guy's just socking him with the uppercuts.
Good form.
It's good form. Yeah.
All right, Joey, what's your cheer of the week?
Nothing that fun, but I was going to cheers Andrew Barry. We've had an entire podcast talking about, half the podcast talking about how great the Browns are right now. And that's just not something that we've had ever. I was going to say since last year, but like we weren't like this optimistic last year. And like, it's a weird feeling going into this next season, and I just hope everyone stays healthy and that things go well. I know my fantasy team's going to be very Browns heavy this year. We might pick up the defense this year. It might be a big pickup this year. So
it'll be fun beating you again this year. It'll be fun.
Yeah, sure.
All right, boys, that's going to do it. Again, our special thanks. Before we get out of here, we always give our thanks. Our special thanks goes out to first of all our guests, both Andy Lytle, Stephen Thomas. From the Not the Same Old Browns podcast. Go find the Not the Same Old Browns podcast. Subscribe to it. They are now on the OBR, which if you're a Browns fan, you better be all up on the OBR. It's great. So go subscribe to them and check them out. A wonderful time with them, a hilarious time with them. And we look forward to talking more Browns with them, hopefully down the line. Again, our thanks goes out to Belly Up Sports, our podcast network. Belly Up Sports always helping us out, doing great things for us, and they've got other really, really good podcasts out there doing big things. So go check out the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. And lastly, as always, our last thank you goes out to you, the listener, anybody that joined us tonight on the live stream or the listeners of the show this week. We wouldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you as always. As we will do, the last thing I'll do before I say goodbye, garagebeershop.com. Get over to garagebeershop.com. Check out Joey's hat. You saw Chad's hat. Doesn't fit his head, but it fits his kid's head. That's awesome. The T-shirts, the hats, we've been shipping them out. We had Dom with us here tonight on the live stream. He's going to get his hat soon. But we've been shipping them out all over the state, all over the country. So get on to garagebeershop.com. Get yourself a T-shirt. Get yourself a hat. Get yourself both. They're both awesome. You're going to want them. And so go do that. So for Joey at Garage Beers Joe down in Nashville, Tennessee, for Chad over on the east side at Garage Beers Chad, I am Michael Keefe over here on the west side of Cleveland saying thank you for joining us, episode 69. Yep. And we'll see you again next week, episode 70. Go Browns and cheers, everybody.
Nice. Oh, well, end the live stream.